My name is Saki, and today we are talking about Avatar Legends. Now, I have been really enjoying the beta. I think with the beta, there's a lot to figure out. This game is definitely a challenge, I will say, and that's kind of what this video is about, right? So this video is pretty much talking about some of the things that I've noticed with Avatar Legends, and kind of putting up to discussion whether or not this is a good or a bad thing. This is one of those videos that I don't want to dive into a negative mindset because I don't think there's really anything bad about the game. I think what's going on with this game is that it's a very challenging game and it rewards people like fighting game players that are very much used to these types of games versus actually catering to new or casual audience. Now, what do I mean by that? So, as you guys know, I'm a Mortal Kombat player, played Mortal Kombat, whole 9 yards, right? But something about Mortal Kombat that I think has attributed to their sales, I mean, again, over 5 million, if I'm not mistaken, at some point. Don't quote me on that one, but uh, with such with so many sales that Mortal Kombat has, part of the what caters to the audience and what attributes to the sales is because Mortal Kombat in of itself is a pretty easy game to pick up as a casual person. Yeah, there's certain attributes which you're gonna have to learn, right? But for the most part, the game is pretty simple when it comes to doing combos, figuring out how to actually press a button, and even to an extent, some of the specials and supers you can do easily with either a couple of buttons and stuff, right? So it's a pretty easy game to pick up, and then the IP has become so popular that you can touch any character and you're pretty okay, right? You understand the fundamentals of the game, which is basically getting a launch, mash buttons, figuring out what the system requires, you're pretty much GG's good to go. And also at the end of the day, it's very casual. So when you hop into a match, you could be sweating or you could just play pretty casual and you're still going to end up with the same result. With Avatar Legends, it feels more like it's a game focused on rewarding the fighting game player to be perfect, with high execution and a fundamental understanding of defense and kind of just holding your ground. So, what do I mean by that? So, let's talk about the side of just fundamentals. So, this game is definitely not a game where you can just mash your way out and call it GG's or even jump on your way out. This is a game that actually has moments where you can't air block, right? So jumping in the air, you can't block in the air. This game also has moments where meaties feel very powerful. So if you read a really good knockdown situation, you're gonna get effed pretty much. And then overall, it's a game where it really focuses on, yeah, you could probably hold flow the entire time, but part of that block string can either lead into throw loops or bait outs where you can get fully punished and you're having to kind of guess on your next interaction, right? As a fundamental fighting game and how fighting games used to be, this is a great game. This is a perfect game for all the oldies that are saying, hey, I want how fighting games used to be. I want to be able to go back to an era where I can actually be rewarded for being good, whether it be in execution, neutral, or just straight up pressure, or all three. I want a game that rewards me for that. But then there's also the side of coming from a casual moment, right? Or a casual audience. I want a game that's going to help me understand, learn, improve, but still reward me while I'm improving and learning. Right now, I don't think Avatar Legends really does that. Now, is that really a problem? Well, I guess it depends on what kind of player you are. For those, like I said, that you're a fighting game player and that you're wanting some of those oldies, you want to be rewarded, this is a great game for you. In fact, this is probably one of the new games that holds closest to you for that, right? There's not many games that actually reward that sentiment because to be honest, a lot of devs have moved on from that because they haven't been able to sell to that. Or rather, when they've created these games, they haven't been able to really sell to that casual audience. I mean, look at what happened with Guilty Gear Xrd, and then you go into Guilty Gear Strive, and they're two completely different games with two completely different challenges, but one of them really just caters to a newbie to pick up, actually figure out, and it gets pretty easy. But for the casual side, with a popular IP like Avatar, is this a really good thing? I actually think it's not. I think it's actually going to probably hurt the game simply because, again, if we look at like another example like Mortal Kombat, imagine if Mortal Kombat became really technically difficult. In fact, when we look at Mortal Kombat 1, probably the biggest complaint that people had was just how anime it felt, right? Like you had jump cancels now involved. It wasn't just mashing. You actually had to have a set of like skills and like actual pickups. While Kenshi was technically like the puppet character, you started introducing a true puppet character to Mortal Kombat. Nitara was full on jump cancels and dash cancels. If you look at, for example, Smoke, another character also filled with cancels and just mix up galore, that's very similar to an anime character. A lot of these characters and a lot of this of technicality can definitely attribute to what I would say is what people feel like it was a little bit difficult to get in, which is probably another reason why, again, not a lot of people really liked Mortal Kombat 1. Point is that imagine if that got even more complicated, where your combo structures had to be very specific, you had to be very perfect, and then on top of all of that, you had to be very deliberate with what you confirm into. Now, granted, I have been playing Azula in this version of the beta, but this also goes to, for example, another character like Katara. Katara is a character that everybody loves, but if you want to play her, you have to learn how to play a stance character. In fact, I actually saw some people relate to Katara as Yuzuriha from Under Night. That's a character that is filled with stance cancels. She's very rewarding, very broken, but you're breaking your hands, essentially, to create and actually execute all of that combos that make it damaging. And that's the thing with Avatar, right? It's feeling like it's a fast game. So already right now, health values are pretty like spread out. But at the same time, with the if you learn those expert combos, you can actually do a lot of damage in that small amount of time. But right now, it still feels like a very fast game where like you could do a first to 3, but if you're doing a first to 3 and you're doing those big damage combos like you kind of see here with Toph, it hurts a lot and it makes you feel like, well, what do you do to adapt? Do you adapt? Do you adapt to go ahead and execute all the combos you've been practicing in the lab, or do you just adapt to build a better neutral and just keep it simple? And that's kind of where like I am right now. Right now, I feel like, okay, I need to get my chakra points up, or my energy points, so to speak, and then I need to be able to confirm and kill, right? I'm already in Fire Lord mode, so I'm already doing a bunch more damage. Plus, on top of that, I have Carpet, so that adds to the damage. I just need to keep it simple if I want to win. That right there is rewarding me for my neutral and for my smart plays for that spacing. But it's not rewarding me to actually go into a full combo of execution. And that's where I'm kind of like, well, if the goal is so that you feel rewarded in that sense, great, you can do all the cool stuff. But is that worth it for me as a player who, as a casual, I just want to go in, play my favorite character, and call it a day? A lot of the cool stuff, though, is locked behind those executions. So it's kind of like a give or take. Either way, this is kind of my thoughts on so far about Avatar Legends. I do think that the game is pretty fun, and I think the game is really good for especially Avatar fans. I'm just wondering, and I kind of stay in this place of thought of, is this game worth the execution for the type of IP that it is? If you told me it was like a game focused like around King of Fighters or, City of the Wolves, where they have a legacy to that game to be difficult, then that's a different story, right? You're coming from developers who have spent time developing that legacy. But if you're creating this game that is focused on one of the most popular IPs for, I would say, like my generation growing up, and you make it really complicated with no simple or easy way to get into it without going through the tutorial, are we really having a successful fighting game here for everybody or just for the fighting game players? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me know how you guys thought of this video. Figured we go for a full discussion video this time around. Thanks, Muse!